It's time for another topic you didn't even know you needed, but now that I'm going to talk to you about it, you're going to be like, I did need that. Blount County property taxes. So go check out the Knox County property tax video. Go check out the Anderson County one. Go check out the Sevier County one. But today we're talking specifically about Blount County. And this really comes into the fold in conversation when we're talking about monthly payments and like how much is cost of living. But for Blount County specifically, this comes into the conversation when we're talking about schools. That is a huge topic when people are considering the Maryville area. Maryville is housed within Blount County. You also have Alcoa, which is housed in Blount County, but there's 3 different school systems involved, 2 of which are like top 2 in the state, and 1 is fine, but not as highly rated. So this brings us into the topic of property taxes, because based on where you live, then you're zoned for certain schools, and you also have certain property taxes and benefits as a result of paying those property taxes. So that was the longest intro probably ever of all time, but let's dive in and let's talk Blount County property taxes. All right, so first of all, a couple things. Blount County is similar to Knox County in that they're both huge. 567 square miles, or actually one of the websites said 582 square miles, so we're missing some mileage somewhere, is Blount County. Now, if you compare Blount County to Knox County has almost 500,000. Knoxville, the city, has about 105,000. Now, let's talk about Blount County. Blount County has total, as of 2022, almost 200,000 people. Or no, that's wrong. As of 2022, 139,000. I saw a stat earlier that said like 150 now. So around 140,000 people in Blount County. Now, Blount County houses some other little cities and pockets, whereas Knoxville is really just like Knoxville city limits, Knoxville, Knox County, and then you have Farragut, which is its own town, but it's part of Knox County. It's part of the Knox County schools, etc. And then you have Powell, you have these different pockets, but Knox County is one big whole thing. Whereas Blount County is like, you've got Blount County, you've got Maryville City that pays both city and county taxes, and then you've got Maryville, which is county only, then you've got Alcoa, then you've got Friendsville, then you've got Louisville, you've got Rockford, those are the big hitters. But when it comes to city versus county property taxes, in Blount County you have 3 different situations. Situation 1, you have county only taxes. Blount County only property tax. $1.59 as of 2023 for every $100 of assessed value. Okay, so you could just have Blount County only. All right. Situation 2 could be that you are a Blount County resident, but you also live within the Maryville city limits. So you're going to pay Blount County taxes and Maryville city taxes, and you get something for that, which we're going to talk about. And then Maryville city taxes are assessed at $1.50 per assessed value, and then you've got that county tax, which is, as of 2023, was $1.59. The third situation could be that you're a Blount County resident and you're also an Alcoa city resident. In other words, you're within the Alcoa city limits, which means you're going to be paying the Alcoa property tax, which as of 2023, the tax rate was $1.69 per $100 of assessed value. Okay, so those could be your 3 scenarios. Now, these 2 scenarios, Maryville City and Alcoa City, what do you get with that? What are the perks? So like if you watch Knox County property tax video, I talk about like, okay, well, what additionally are you paying? Because people are wanting to know, well, what are we getting for that? And this is where, to me, it makes a bigger deal if you are more interested in what's happening with schools, because as I said, Maryville City and Alcoa City are their own school district, even though they sit within Blount County. So that being said, when we're talking about like, what are the perks or whatever of like living in Alcoa City? Well, Alcoa City has its own, you have your own elected officials, you have a board of commissioners in Alcoa City, and those are elected. If you are within the city limits of Alcoa, you are doing your Blount County elections and then also your Alcoa City elections. And then Maryville City has a board, like a city manager, and then a city council. And I'm not a political scientist major, so I'm sure I'm butchering exactly what these titles are, but you've got your city council in Maryville, and those are elected, and then you have like a city manager. And then Alcoa has your board of commissioners, and your Alcoa voters are like over all of that, and you've got your board of commissioners. Same thing, city manager, city attorney, etc. So Alcoa has a council manager with an elected board of 5 commissioners that serve 4-year staggered terms. The Board of Commissioners is the legislative and policy-making body of the city. The Board of Commissioners hires a professional city manager to manage and direct day-to-day operations for the city government, administer the budget, and oversee all city employees. The mayor and vice mayor are chosen from among the commissioners and serve the length of their term. So then in Maryville City, it's somewhat similar. In Maryville City, the council sets policy, approves the budget, and determines the tax rate. It also hires a manager and supervises his or her performance. The city manager prepares a recommended budget for the council's action and serves as the council's chief advisor. So the city council, those are those elected by the residents of Maryville City. So very similar in terms of what's happening in Alcoa and Maryville in terms of the government piece of it. But again, just pointing out for you, like I live in Blount County, but I live way out. As you've probably heard me say 50 billion times. That being said, I'm way out in Blount County. So I don't vote in Maryville City elections. I don't vote in Alcoa City elections. We just have our Blount County election. So all that being said, some of the perks or things you get from paying double taxes is you get trash service if you're within the city of Maryville or the city of Alcoa. You have police and fire department if you're within the city of Maryville. You get water, you got public water, public sewer. So those are all kind of perks for what you're getting for paying for your taxes. Well, and obviously public water and sewer, like you're paying a utility bill, but I just want to point out that you've got like those utilities exist. Whereas if you're further out into the county, there may not be any city utilities. You could be on a septic tank and you could also be on well water. Septic tank is certainly more popular, especially the further out that you get. I would say well water is more rare, but just want to point to you that if you are within the city of Maryville, you're pretty much for sure gonna have utility water and utility sewer service, same as Alcoa. You're gonna have city water and you're gonna have utility sewer. Whereas even if you look at Rockford and parts of Louisville, which are still closer in, you may not have utility water or sewer. We're probably gonna have water, probably not sewer. You're probably gonna be on a septic tank. So I just wanna point that out to you as well. Now, Alcoa City, Maryville City, you get trash collection, you get recycling, you get junk and brush collection. You also have fire protection, like emergency services. Whereas when you're further out in the county, like for example, for me, I'm in Seymour. We have the Seymour Volunteer Fire Department. Then you also have a Blount County like fire department that you could pay for. That's in addition to, right? So even though you might be paying double taxes to live in Alcoa City or live in Maryville City, you're also not having to pay for a fire department in addition to your taxes, etc. So it's kind of a pros and cons situation. But I truly think that the main reason where this comes into play is schools. And this is where I see this the most often. And it's often not about the fact that you're paying double taxes, which is usually the conversation when we're talking about Knox County, just because it's one giant school system in Knox County. Typically where this idea of city versus county comes into play is when we're talking about the school system. So as I said, Maryville City Schools, they have their own school system. On Mish.com, they are #1 best school district in the state of Tennessee. They have an overall grade of A. They have C pluses in diversity and C plus in resources and facilities, probably because like they're packed out really when it comes to resources and facilities. Some of their facilities are old, but overall, I mean, I think they have I was actually at a career fair at Maryville High School a couple weeks ago, and it was a beautiful school. So Maryville City Schools serves 5,600 students. Just for context, Alcoa City Schools serves 2,200 students. So even smaller, right? But like Maryville and Alcoa, if you want to talk about Friday Night Lights and football, not that like this is the reason why you send your kids there. I'm just saying the rivalry between Alcoa High and Maryville High School is like legit, okay? It's insanity, literal insanity. So anyhow, that's just a side note. That's probably not a reason to send your kids there. I'm just saying, if you want that vibe, you got it. And it's always gonna exist, right? Because they're always gonna be, okay, but also Alcoa schools are number 2 best school district in Tennessee, okay? So the reason why this whole thing started is because if you live in Maryville, but you are not in Maryville city limits, you will not be zoned for Maryville city schools. You will be zoned for William Blount High School or Heritage High School. Heritage High School, think Townsend, think Wallen, think towards like the severe, like going towards Sevier County and like going to the mountains. For William Blount, you're thinking going towards Vonore, towards Tellico, towards Loudoun. You're thinking like the west side of Blount County. But like Louisville, Friendsville, Rockford, Benfield, all of that, those are all Blount County school zone. And Blount County, just for context, Blount County serves 10,234 students, K-12. So it has, interestingly, about double the number of what Maryville City Schools serves and 5 times what Alcoa serves. So it's a bigger district by far, but you've got 2 high schools and I mean, they're spread out pretty far. So like just for context, I live in Seymour. There's Seymour High, that's part of Sevier County. And then I live just across the Knox County line. Well, that's South Doyle, which is a Knox County school, where if I had kids right now going to high school, the school is about 20-ish minutes on a good day to the high school that we would be zoned for, even though it's not convenient because there's literally Seymour High School like 5 minutes away. So anyways, that's neither here nor there, but I just want to point out to you that all ends of the county are somewhere either to Heritage High School or William Blount High School. So that being said, well, what do you think that does to, like, if you're thinking, okay, well, Maryville these are the kind of questions you're not supposed to ask as a teacher. And I just already want to say this is like a low level question. It's not inquiry based, okay? But because it's a leading question. But anyways, that's not the point. Think about if Maryville City is the number 1 school district in the state of Tennessee and Alcoa City is number 2 in the state of Tennessee, and you're relocating here and you want great schools, where do you want to live? You want to live in those zoned areas, right? So what that means is you have to be a resident within those areas, or you can do an application to pay tuition to go to those schools. Now, before you're like, tuition, it's cheap, okay? It's like $1,200 for Alcoa and $2,500 a year for Maryville. The thing is, just because you put the application in doesn't mean you're gonna get it. And it's pretty much like based on how much room is available per class, per grade level. So I've included in here the applications, and like they have certain deadlines. Each of them has a deadline. The Maryville City Schools, if you go to forms on their website, the very first form there right now is gonna say, it says tuition application 2024-2025. Now they take this up to 3 weeks before the first day of school. I would not wait that long. If you're like, this is what I wanna do, then I would get this application in ASAP. Now, this applies to you if you do not live within the Maryville City zone. Now, if you're like, I don't know what zone I freaking live or this house I'm looking at, they actually, when I say they, Blount County actually has a really cool map that they've rolled out for the county where you can put the address in and it'll say, this is the school. This is the elementary, this is the intermediate, if that applies. This is the high school. It also tells you about your trash service, what you need to do, blah, blah, blah. And if there is no trash service, it's gonna say private provider or something. Like basically you gotta find someone that does that service and you gotta pay for them, right? So anyways, there's 2 different applications. So if you live out in Rockford and you want your kid to go to Alcoa, then you gotta submit the application and then you're gonna pay tuition. And actually on the Maryville tuition form, it gives you like who has priority. So for example, on the Maryville, the 2024-2025 tuition application, non-resident students may attend Maryville City Schools as tuition students subject to the following. explain that the school and grade requested have a balanced enrollment and there's available space to accommodate an additional student. That the custodial parent or legal guardian agrees to provide transportation to and from the school during the term of the tuition attendance, aka you will not be having bus service. If you're zoned for a non-Maryville City school and you're paying tuition for your kid to go to Maryville, you gotta get a way to get them there. There's gonna be no school bus service. The tuition rate is set and the rules governing tuition student attendance are administered by the Board of Education. Tuition rate is subject to change. And basically, after meeting the listed criteria, tuition students will be allowed to attend City of Maryville schools based on the following priority. Priority number 1, children of teachers in Maryville City schools in accordance with state law. It's basically saying if you're a teacher in Maryville City schools, that you get priority, but also you're not guaranteed a certain specific school location, which would come into play with like the younger grades. Okay, priority 2, children of non-residents who own property in the City of Maryville. So you're a non-resident in the City of Maryville, but you own something there, children of those people, priority 2. Priority 3, children of non-residents employed by Maryville City schools, non-teachers, or the City of Maryville. So someone that works for Maryville City schools or the City of Maryville that is not a teacher, their children get 3rd priority. Number 4, so I just am reading this out because I want to say, if this is something you want to do, I would do your research. If the school situation is super, super, super important to you, then I don't know necessarily that it would be the best idea to buy out in the county. I just said what I said, okay? I said what I said. Basically what I'm saying is there's no guarantee, and the fact that there's this much of a priority list tells you that people are applying. People want in. You know what I mean? Okay, priority 4, children of non-residents who have siblings already in Maryville City schools, which is similar to what Knox County does when you get into a magnet school. If you have a kiddo that's already within the magnet school, then their sibling doesn't have to go through the lottery. This is, again, you have to do the application here, but I'm just saying that's kind of a similar system to something that you see in Knox County schools. And then priority 5 is all others. Okay, so I do think that there's strategy based on like grade level. I would think that, and I don't have facts for this is completely my assumption, but hang with me for a second. I would think that if you're wanting to get into Maryville City schools, your kid is a freshman, maybe that's not the best, like a 9th grader, even though the 9th graders are at the junior high. Like the high school is 10, 11, 12. So maybe 10th grade, it could be a popular time for someone to put their name in the hat. I would think that maybe that's not the best because that's going to be like a larger class, right? So just want to point that out, that maybe there could be some strategy involved, and I'm just going to leave that right there. Call me if you want to discuss it more. And just both actually of these applications make a note about like, look, we can revoke this at any time if your child is off the chain. You're done or whatever. So just want to point that out. Now the Alcoa City one is a lot more simple, just more straightforward. Like it doesn't have a priority list. It's literally like, get this in by this date. Both of them say like, it's just wants your information. It says completion of this form does not guarantee enrollment into the Alcoa City schools. No students will be allowed in classes that exceed the state mandated capacity. Transportation must be furnished by the parent or guardian. So if you are going to transfer your kiddo in, you got to get them there somehow. And then this one says accepted application letters for Alcoa Elementary, Intermediate, Middle School will be sent after June 15th. Denied application letters for Alcoa High School will be sent after May 24th. So, I mean, what's interesting is on the Alcoa City one, there's not really like a deadline per se, but the Maryville one says like you've got to do this within 3 weeks prior. Applications must be received at least 3 weeks prior to the first day of school per the school board policy. Once the school year has begun, the only tuition applications accepted are from currently enrolled students who are relocating outside the city limits. No new student application will be accepted after the start of the school. So that's just something to keep in mind as well. Like if this is something that you're wanting to do or interested to do, I would get the application in as soon as like the day they posted it. The day the application goes live, I would put that sucker in. So anyways, that's just my thought. Those are Just my thoughts. The whole point of this was talking about property taxes, obviously, but in addition to you're paying double taxes if you're in Maryville City and you're in Alcoa City, you are paying for the schools, right? Because like you're paying the taxes for the schools, and the schools are within that system. And I've actually had clients before be like, I don't have kids and I don't want to pay those taxes in Alcoa specifically. Cool. Then we won't look in Alcoa. If you don't want to pay double taxes, that's cool. But I do just want to point out that like also you're probably going to pay for trash service. You're going to pay for a fire department membership, or you're going to be, donating to the volunteer fire department if you so feel desired or called to do so. So there's definitely perks either way, but that's kind of the overview of what's going on with Blount County property taxes and really why it comes to play. Knox County is a bit different just because Knox County is so big and there's only just one school system, but also Knox County, similarly, you've got trash service, Knox County Police Department versus Knox County Sheriff's Office, etc. So they have their own different things. And actually Knox County, the health department is run by the county. The libraries are run by the county. So that's a little bit different. Maryville and Blount County in general just have such a lower population that like the city boundaries of Knoxville are 105,000 and Blount County itself has 140-ish thousand. So just that alone, it's like Knox County's government in general is way more robust in terms of what they offer. So I feel like there's a bigger distinction. Who offers more, right? What you're getting from each of those entities. Whereas to me, when you look at Blount County, it's really more about like, yes, trash service, yes, that kind of thing, and like emergency service, but also the schools to me are the big differentiator when it comes to like city versus county within Blount County. So anyways, I hope this has been helpful and informative as always. If you want more content like this, please subscribe. I have always a lot to say if you haven't noticed. Anyways, I'm Haley Jones and I'll see you next time.